In this concept video, we're going to be discussing some common student mistakes, and I'm going to do this in red. So hopefully red will remind you that these are not correct, these are the wrong thing to do. Adding everything is something that I see a lot, and folks will do something like this, and I'm going to give you a concrete example. Maybe you can see that in the video, but I'll move my hand away for you. So some folks think that you can just take all the numerators and add them up. By the way, you can't do this, so be aware, and then just take all the denominators and add them up. And of course, probably you're cringing at home right now saying, "Oh, Mr. Valsa, that is ridiculous. To add fractions, you must have a common denominator. You can't just do that." And so some students would say that this is 1 plus 2 plus 7 or 10 over 8 plus 5 plus 2, which is 15, and then try to simplify there to 2/3. But this is wrong. This is not correct. Don't do this. It's in red, okay? The equal to with a little line says that's not the same, okay? Don't do that. Now these two, I guess, would be the same, so perhaps I wrote that in error, but my mark here through the equal sign means don't do this. Don't do this step right here. So if we do this with a little bit of more of an algebraic sense, well, let's make this, scratch that off. Let's make this a over b plus c over d is not equal to a plus c over b plus d. You got to have a common denominator here, like we talked about in the past video. A lot of students love this. They love to have a cancel party when there's addition or subtraction in the problem. So some students will do this. Let me give you an example. 5 plus 8 over 5 plus 2. And they will do this. They will say, well, 5 over 5 is 1, and 8 over 2 is 4. I know it's making me cringe right now writing this because it's totally wrong, totally backwards, not cool at all. That is not equal to 5. And you can tell here that 5 plus 8 is 13, and 13 over 7 is definitely not 5. So you can't just cancel out when there's addition, and maybe I should have put a subtraction sign there. But whenever there's addition or subtraction in the mix, you just can't do it. Let me give you another example, and by the way, we're going to write this as wrong right here. Don't do that. Let me give you one where there's a variable in there. And most students do this to avoid any kind of factoring. So if you're that student, this is going to be a rough unit for you. Factoring is okay. It can be easy if you practice it. So some students would take this and they would go, well, x squared over x squared is 1, so I'll be left with 2. And then 9 over 9 is 1. So that would be, or some students would put like a 2 here or something. They just get rid of everything and just write a 2. Okay, this is not the case at all. We need to factor these and then find a common factor if you want to cancel those out. But this plus sign here or here makes this not a good situation. So please don't do this. Sort of or pretty close denominators. This happens a lot in trigonometry when one is like sine of theta and the other one's sine squared, and you're like, it's close enough. Let me give you an example here to tell you how this works, or at least how it doesn't work, we'll say. So some students will go, well, 2 minus 3, that's negative 1, and then I see an a there, so that's close enough for me. It's not exactly the same. There's an a squared and there's an a here, but it's good enough. Or some people will write this as negative 1 over a squared. Or I see this from time to time. Hey, we're gonna see how many a's there are down here, and there's 3 of them. So some people will do that, and this one's wrong on a totally new level. But anyways, so if you were thinking, hey, I'll just go ahead and do this, I can do this operation, they're kind of close, you would be wrong. Please do not add fractions if the denominators are not exactly the same. So stay away from these 3 things. These are the most common that I've seen in all my years of teaching with this particular unit. So be careful of these. You can't do those operations.